Unique Mecca Audio, man. I got a special guest for you. I got my homie, my brother. We grew up in New Jersey together. Yes, I grew up in New Jersey, so nobody can say nothing. But Harlem is my home. That's where I went to, and that's where I did my thing, became who I am. And I'm not proud of who I was, but I'm proud of who I am today. I got my brother Kabir, aka Shawn Boy from out in Jersey. He gonna come up here and tell you where he from and what he doing, so y'all understand. All right. All right, you know what it is. Unique Mecca Audio, man. I'm here with my brother Kabir. I did Fed time, just so y'all know, this ain't all just about the feds. I speak on what I know. You know what I mean? Not what I think, not what I heard, none of that. You understand? My man did state time, so he's gonna explain to y'all about his case, what he did, and what went on from a state perspective. But at the end of the day, what I want y'all to get from this program is knowing that it's not worth it to break the law, because you don't want to wind up in prison. You don't want to go through what Unique Mecca Audio went through. You definitely don't want to go through what my man Kabir went through, because the state is another vicious animal. You know what I mean? So we're trying to tell you what it is. All right. So Kabir, tell him your name, where you from, and your case you was charged with.
My name is Shawn Boy. Come out of Hackensack, New Jersey. For those that don't know, that's in North Jersey, right across the George Washington Bridge. Little small city, but definitely proud of where I come from, proud of my neighborhood, proud of my people, and I rep that hard, I love where I'm from.
Okay.
I was wrongfully convicted in 1989 of shooting a New York City police officer in Queens, New York. I served 30 years for that crime, came home, always fought for my case, always maintained my innocence. I'm still maintaining my innocence today. And I decided once I got out that I was going to try, if it's just one person at a time, whether it was through my story, through my work, to try to, give back to the youth so they don't get trapped off and fall into the same lanes that I fell in when I was growing up.
Okay, let me ask you this. So you went to trial?
I went to trial.
Okay, so what did that feel like when the jury said guilty?
Honestly, by the time the jury had said guilty, I had already went through what I call like the lynching process. I like before they used to actually lynch our ancestors, some of the things they would put them with just to torture them. So I was somewhat numb by that time by some of the things that I had went through in the court, the pre-trial hearings, things that my court-appointed attorney had did at that time, things that I would view with how, like, when my family would leave the courtroom and it may just be the judge and the district attorney and some of the prosecution witness. I would see how the judge would like old boys, like they'd be smiling and talking and turn around looking at me, And as a 22-year-old, I was already I was numb. So by the time I got sentenced, actually, I think that was a point where I started accepting, at least this is what it is right now, and I gotta do what I gotta do now to survive. The day that I got found guilty was a day I just was hearing my mother crying in the background, I could hear a voice, So for me, it was more like I gotta be strong for her now, So I refused to turn around when the judge was actually telling me how much time he was going to give me. I could hear her crying, but I refused to turn around. That was the first time, actually, through the trial, the pre-trials, that I actually stood up and spoke up for myself. And I said from that point on that I will never allow, whether it's a lawyer, anybody, to put me in a position where I don't speak up for myself. And I did from that day forward, yeah.
And you know, it's ironic that you say that, because for 26 years, I felt like I should have taken a stand in my defense. You know what I mean? For 26 years, but the judge, you know, the lawyers tell you back then, oh, don't say nothing, because they're going to bring up this shooting, that shooting, this robbery, that robbery, and all the things we did in the past. But I wanted to stand up there and really explain to them that, man, I was in New York. I don't know what happened in Virginia. I was in New York. You know what I mean? I ain't said nobody nothing, and, you know, just wanted to say my piece, because my co-defendant stood up. He had a murder charge. He stood up and he took the stand, and the case was so weak and confusing that the jury found him not guilty, like they found me not guilty of 3 charges. And I felt I could have beat the other 3 charges if I would have stood up and voiced my opinion that I didn't have nothing to do with it. You know, what went on in Virginia, what they was charging me with. You know, that's how I felt, you know. But now, tell them, you know, what was it like for you growing up? You know, what was your childhood like that led up to?
I think I had a great childhood, man. You know, like I said, Hackensack is a small city, so I had a lot of family. I come from downtown. You know, I had a lot of cousins. My mother, one of my aunts lived in the next building from me for a while. My grandmother lived a few blocks south of me. You know, my godparents, who was very influential in my life, was more like my second parents. They lived in my neighborhood, so, you know, I'm spoiled. I'm the only son. You know, I have 2 sisters. You know, I have a brother and sister on my father's side, but, you know, growing up, you know, but yeah, I basically had everything I wanted. You know, I played sports. I was active. A lot of friends, popular dude in my neighborhood. You know, from fighting. You know, back then it wasn't about the weapons and the things you see now. It's about fighting. So I was, even though I was small, I scrapped. You know, so I stood out. But it was around, I think my life started taking a turn when I started dipping and dabbing with drugs, you know, for the most part.
Dipping and dabbing how?
Well, I'm come from that era in the 80s, man. You know, weed was popular. People was popping pills. Dust was popular as I got a little older, you know, coke. You know, I went through the levels that we go through, you know, coming through.
So how old was you when you first started selling or touching any type of drug, whether it was weed?
I started probably sampling it, probably 11, 12. 11 and 12. You know, no one would have believed it, you know, except my friends, because I was still going to Sunday school. My grandmother still was making me go to Sunday school, so, you know, and around them, I was still like, you know, they grandson. You know, they don't really know the stuff I was starting to get into in the street. You know.
Do you think if they did know that it might have helped to prevent you from going down the path that you went?
Sure. I think, you know, like now, like the children are much more advanced now than what we were because
social
of the
media,
technology,
YouTube, everything
but
else.
Even when we were young, our parents, we were more advanced than them. So I think learning some of the mistakes that my parents unknowingly went through, it actually helped me be a better parent, a better life coach. You know, with the work I'm doing with the children now, some of the parents are asking me questions. I think I don't believe, you know, all the freedom that they give the children nowadays. You know, of course, it really works. I mean, some children are mature enough to handle it, but not everybody. So I think if my parents would not have gave me as much freedom, you know, I'd be all the way in Teaneck on my bike, Inglewood, Patterson, riding around. I mean, you know, I had a lot of freedom. And I think that allowed me to get involved in things that they wasn't aware of. If they would have been more on top of me. And possibly could have sent me down south or sent me to, you know, maybe a military school, a boarding school, or just had more contact with me. That would have been.
You know, because that's what it was. Back then, we really moved how we wanted to move because our parents was busy working.
Sure.
And they wasn't there to give us the time because the job, required their time in order to keep a roof over our head and feed us. You know what I mean? And they took it upon ourselves, like you said, something key that I just learned from you that I didn't even think of, and I'm sure probably in my subconscious mind, everyone else's, when you said that, how'd you say? You said that they didn't know what he was doing, like he was still, Shawn boy around his grandmother, still the grandson. But meantime, he's smoking weed and he's doing whatever else he's doing, but they still see him as their grandson. So in other words, our parents trusted us. And that's that key word, trust. But you got to know how much trust to give a child, how much trust to give a person, an adult, a woman in your relationship or whatever. You don't want to give them too much where it goes astray and that rubber band gets to be too expanding and so many other things come in that rubber band that, causes it to pop. You understand what I'm saying? And you don't have that structure anymore.
I don't think no household or no parent should allow their children to have more access to the streets or to other people more than them, especially if they're
That's
really
deep.
parents.
Yeah, that's deep.
I think the primary contact should come from the parents. The education should come from the household and the people that love them. And I had a good family support system, but like you said, working, having to provide, didn't allow them. By the time they come home, they tired, they got to sleep.
Yeah.
So I had more contact once I got from school with the street, or even when I'm in school, a certain circle. And when you're young, you're impressionable, so you want to be down with the people that you're impressed by, and usually we cling to that. We learn. We see who getting the money. We see who's popular with the girls. We see what the older guys is doing. And although I was seen as a leader by many, actually I was a follower too, because I was following the things that I seen that I wanted to be a part of. Yeah.
Okay, see, because like me growing up, I was across, the little Hackensack Bridge, River Avenue, River Road, or something like that, and his name was popping over in Teaneck, Inglewood, like my name was popping over in Inglewood, Hackensack, and things like that. Like how people's names is popping in their neighborhood, outside their neighborhood. And then as we grow up, we have a tendency to try and fit in that mold of how they're popularizing us in a negative manner. Like you said, you scrap, you fight good. You was a little frail dude like me. I was 120 pounds growing up. I was like 140, 145 when I went to prison. You know what I mean? But, like he said, we fight because we from that era where you got to know how to use these. You understand what I'm saying? Not these. You use these to go get money. You know what I mean? But you got dispute, you settle them with these. Big difference. This for money, or, if your life is being threatened, not telling anybody to go do that if your life is being threatened, but just letting you know how it was during our time. Growing up. But the older heads, if they seen two young dudes arguing, they're not going to tell them don't fight, and they definitely ain't going to tell them go get a gun. They're going to tell you now, y'all going to scrap up, and they're going to make sure we fight. And then when we done, he be like, man, that Shawn boy, he know how to put it in. You act up, I'm going to go get Shawn boy on you. And that's how, we grew up, because they had no real guidance, because they was followers too. And instead of them telling us, man, instead of y'all fighting together, go get a basketball and play a game of 21 together and settle your dispute with a basketball instead of with your fist. But we was raised that way. Go ahead, big bro.
I mean, that's coming up, like I said, and started, and then I didn't really, once I did an evaluation of my life after being incarcerated so long and getting therapy and things like that, and really focusing on what happened in the past to make me the person I am today, the good, the bad, etc. Then I start looking at things that I didn't realize, that once I start using the drugs and associating with different people, that my grades start slacking, that, I just went a different direction. Some of the people that I one time may have grew up with didn't want to hang around them no more. They didn't consider them as being down. That was the word we say, yo, they ain't down. Yeah. They ain't cool. And then, once I start getting a taste of money, that kind of, my focus was more about the money, not the consequences from getting the money. It was more about the money. And, now I'm getting older. I got my older relatives, you know, they're coming to ask me for money. And it was a good feeling to be able to help the older relatives to buy, you know, whether it was my grandparents, my mother, them buy their food for them, to help them out, buy them nice things. So, you know, you see what you can do with the money, and you're not as really focused on what you're contributing that's destroying the neighborhood, or what you may do, or what the violence, the danger that may come with this, because you're just thinking about the rewards that's coming from it.
Okay, so let's get back into your prison time. What was it like, you know, when the sentence was pronounced? How did you feel then?
In New York? Like
Yes.
I told you, when I got sentenced, man, I was already you know, I didn't know it at the time, but I had already
When you
been
heard
mentally,
guilty, you said you was numb. Now I'm asking you when you got the sentence, because it's a whole new
well,
ballgame.
when I came into the system at that time in New York City, you had what was called CMCA. That's Central Monitoring Case. You got level A, B, C. Most of the guys that had high profile cases, right from the door, you'll be CMC. You know, if you had an escape on the island or in one of the borough jails, they'll make you CMC. If you caught a murder or a serious diving on the island, they'll make you CMC. So that's where I went. So everybody that I went to, from the time of my arrest, I went to the Queen's house first, because the case was in Queens. So I went to the Queen's house, 6th floor. Mind you, I'm coming out of Jersey. I don't know nobody. So I'm 23 years old. I just turned 23. I'm scared to death, but I'm on high alert, and I got crazy heart. You know, that, you know,
It ain't going for nothing.
That wasn't something that someone had to teach me. Someone had to teach me to fight, but God gave me heart. So I always had heart. And I was just blessed, man. I went to the Queen's house, 6th floor, and the brothers, when I came into the company, I didn't know this was a high-profile area. I didn't know that they had even put me in a high-profile area. The brothers showed me mad love. As soon as I walked in the door, one of the first brothers I met, who's a very good friend of mine to this day, named Henry Bolden. A lot of brothers in the Bronx know him as Ron Dew.
What case he was on?
You know the case.
Yeah, I know, but they don't know.
Yeah,
this for them.
Y'all might have seen the movie Paid in Full. They, you know, not saying that shit is accurate, but his case is based a lot on that story with the incident that happened with AZ. All right, but dude was a well-known dude out of the Bronx, and he had been out to Jersey. He actually had a girlfriend in Jersey. So when I came in, you know, I went straight to the cell. They told me that was mine. So I went to the cell, and I'm just thinking, like, reviewing everything that had just happened to me, from the torture the beating that they put me through, just sitting on the bed now, knowing that now this is game time. You know, because I mean, I had did bids in Jersey. You know, I still thinking they gonna look at the footwear, might challenge for the footwear, because you know that's what we were still doing in the county jail at that time. So I'm prepared. You know, I got some nice shit on. All right, let's get this going. Whoever's gonna step up for anything that I got. So dude at that time, he was like 246 for some tip-top shit. He just came to the cell and looked at me and left. So I'm like, damn, this is the first dude that I'm gonna have to fight, this big, black, ugly motherfucker. And he came back with a newspaper article, and my face was on the cover of the article. And he's like, yo, this you? I didn't even know I was in the papers, you know? And I was like, yeah. And he said, don't worry about it, man. He said, everybody in here is in the papers. He said, if they would have brought you in here and your case wasn't in the paper, we would have thought something. He just left. He walked away. Came back like 5, 10 minutes later with a bag of cosmetics, junk food, slippers.
The care package.
Yeah, a care package. Yeah.
That's what we call it. So y'all got the terminology.
You know, he started talking to me. He told me to get, wash up, get together, man. And then he, like I said, to this day, that's one of my closest friends. You know, sad to see that he's still in the penitentiary after all these years. But, when he started schooling me, he found out I was from Jersey, knew that I never been in the New York system, so he started schooling me about the razors in the mouth, how dudes transport weapons within the system, how to be on point, that in the area that we was in, because we was high profile, they didn't keep us there too long. They didn't want you to get familiar with the area, so they, like, after 90 days or a little longer, they may move me. So he was schooling me, like, look, you're going to go to the Bronx house, 6th floor. You might go to the Brooklyn house, 10th floor. You're going to go to HDM, going to be. These are the dudes you got to, be on point for. And at the time, he had just had a beef with some dudes out of Queens, right? So he's schooling me, and the whole house is mostly Queens. So he's like, yo, this dude here is so-and-so, that dude is so-and-so. Just about everybody that was in that house was somebody in their respective borough, in the street. So I was young, I wasn't no threat to nobody. They knew I was from out of town, ain't know nobody. And after a few days, they were seeing how, people was checking me out. Immediately I started working out, going to the gym every day, hitting the bag, getting my wind up, getting in shape. And the brothers just started showing me love, schooling me. It wasn't the dudes that was coming at me was suckers. The dudes that came at me was suckers. They were suckers. I just didn't know, because I really didn't know their history. I didn't know. All the real dudes were showing me love.
Okay, so when you went into the state system, what was that like when they sent you up north? Because remember, these are different phases that you go. Now you know you're going to the big house. Now it's real.
Well, I made my rounds on the island, so I was meeting people. And at that time on the island, you could pay, the phones was free. And we could wear our jewelry, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, so you could go into certain areas and see who diamonds, who got diamonds on their finger, who wearing jewelry, how they rocking the phones. A lot of women there, and so you see how the women cater to certain people and things like that. So by the time I left, like I said, being impressionable, following, I was all the major, Queens with Prince, his whole team, another good brother.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of back then.
All of them, out of Queens. I was with George Llewellyn, God bless him, rest in peace, out of Harlem. My trainer, Big Amar, out of Brownsville. So I was around all the right people. By the time that I went up north, I was already ready. I knew what to expect. Nobody had to tell me what to look out for. It was on me, man, just to pass the test. So I touched Sing Sing first, and when I got to Sing Sing, a couple of brothers I met soon. Back then you would go to 5 building. That was like the reception. So when I got into the 5 building, one of the brothers I knew from the island hit me off with an ice pick. I was straight with that. Still scared to death, that, because you don't really know what to expect.
Let me ask you this. I did time out in Trenton State Prison, and, did my Fed time and all that, Southern States, Leesburg. But back then, because you said something that's different now. Back then, the elders, they took the youngins under the wing if they knew you was a man on man time and had heart. You know what I mean? Like you said, they gave you the care package, they gave you the knife. You understand what I'm saying?
The same way you get stripes in the military. When I came over, the same way you get stripes in the penitentiary. You ain't gonna just get the captain treatment until you show you could be an infantry soldier. Once you become the sergeant, instead of getting the patch on your arm, your treatment gonna be different. Once you become the lieutenant, you you're gonna get another strike. The treatment you're gonna be in certain doors, certain circles that you may have not been allowed to be in when you wasn't ready. As a soldier. So, like I said, I was prepared, but a lot of great men, man. You know, like I said, I'm from Jersey, but some of my best teachers, I had the privilege to be around some of the greatest minds in New York. You know, that really educated in school.
And that's the key, like he says, you know, the greatest minds in New York, you know, it's just that they chose to use them in a criminal mentality, in a criminal manner. But the minds to be in a frame of mind to survive in New York City back in the 80s and 90s, you know, it took a special breed. It's just like we was talking about earlier with you growing up when we needed that guidance where to go. You know, we didn't have that guidance in New York where to go either. Because I've been running in New York since I was 10, 11 years old. You know what I mean? From Brooklyn to the Bronx and everywhere. But my family lived down in Jersey. You understand what I'm saying? And he know it because there'd be a lot of things back then. Everybody said they was from New York. But I believe that you ain't from nowhere until somewhere claim you. You understand what I'm saying? Just like you can't be the president until the people claim you and put you in the seat as the president.
Or you saying you know somebody,
Yeah.
he don't know you now. You know when y'all know each other.
There you go.
You know of him. You might have heard of him, but you seen him. We don't know each other now.
You know, and you know, that's just the way it is, man. I mean, first of all, you know, I commend you and I'm proud of you. I see a lot of things that you're doing out there because your people would help me with my Social Security card and certain things like that. I mean, he got a real good program that he got going on, but right now we in the prison. So now you're up there in the prison. What are some of the things you've seen in the prison that shocked you? Give me one that shocked you for real. One of the first things you seen that made you say, whoa.
A lot of things shocked me.
Except for I said the first one.
I could tell you something that made me say, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, wow. You know, and it wasn't like this was the first time I seen something like this, but under these conditions, I was in a racial riot in the early 90s in Clinton. And while we actually in the midst of a racial riot, I seen two men actually go inside the weight box to engage with each other while the riot was going on. You know, the gas
with knives. A riot going on and they going now that's some whoa. That's like wow.
Like the gas coming in the yard and people throwing. Because Clinton at that time was a lot of rocks, so it was more rock thrown at each other than actually weapons. But to see as the smoke clears and the police walk around and get people up to actually take two big men. I ain't talking about no little men. Big men, like 200 plus pounds, out of a weight box. That was something that I could say, like, whoa, like to show you like where this type of environment will take your mind if you allow it to.
Oh man, whoa! I've been telling my prison students, I ain't no front, I ain't experienced nothing like that. That's some whoa shit.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff, like when you talk about trauma, and like anybody that's been in the penitentiary that comes out and says that they have been traumatized by something, they just don't understand what trauma is. They deal with trauma every day. Like, even right now, I can hear keys. And it never bothered me while I was in the penitentiary, but when I hear a lot of keys now, it's like a trigger, and it reminds me of the COs opening the door. I've seen short films, redemption. I don't know how many times while I was in prison, never bothered me, but I watched it one time about a year or two ago. I couldn't even get through it because I seen a CO in the movie tell the people, like, come on ladies, and it was like a trigger from when I was in Attica, when the officer used to tell the dudes, he used to call certain dudes for the medical run, he would be like, just mentally breaking out, like, come on ladies, and I used to get so upset. I was like, oh, why y'all let them talk to y'all like that, man? Like, fuck that, y'all let them take your dignity, man. Like, but they would use like cattle to water. They just would hold their head down and let them say, ladies, take their dignity. So when I see the movie, just that was part of the trauma. A lot of, once I start getting dirt, which I'm not ashamed to talk about. I think one of the best moves I made since I came home, getting dirt. Once I start really understanding those types of traumas and triggers, it helped.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Now, you said you hear the keys made you think of the police opening the door.
Yeah, by your spirit, I could be restless, sleep, I hit it, I don't like that shit.
Okay, now that's the state. You understand? That's why I'm saying that I can speak on what I know, and that's why my brother.
And not all the prisoners in the keys, but some of the
understand. No, but where I'm going at with that is, here go my keys, so you understand. The police in the prison, they got a belt on, they got all the big keys, this big 6 brass keys that they use to open the door, and they got about 5 of them on there, and they got the keys for the handcuff, the key for this room, closet, that. So whenever something go on in the prison, you understand, and they hit the deuces, you remember the deuces, what they call it in the States, when they hit the body alarm on the police.
Well, they have any walkie-talkies in the States.
Yeah, on the walkie-talkie, but when they hit it, it makes a noise and all of them go off. Yeah, okay, but when the alarm go off, my trauma comes from hearing this. This is what the keys sound like when the police is running and it's on his hip, and he's running. And I'm talking about, I was in prisons in the feds that if somebody didn't get stabbed 3 times a day, you know what I mean? It was heaven. Because every day, all you heard was, whoa, 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 whoa. That's all you heard. You understand what I'm saying? So when I hear keys, even now, I was in the mall yesterday, and a security guard walked by. I went to the bathroom. I left the Best Buy, I went to the bathroom, and I said the security guard going in there. But he went in to use the bathroom, he's on this side, I'm on that side. And I heard the keys, and somebody said something over the walkie-talkie, and I jumped and turned around and went to pull it like I had my knife on it. And the security guard looked at me like I was crazy. But what he was doing was, he was buckling up his pants. So when he went to buckle his pants, the keys wound up, jingling. And then the walkie-talkie said, grip. You know what I mean? So I went back into like, this the deuces, somebody getting stabbed, let me turn around for a I catch a guy by either the police or one of the people stabbing. So these are the traumas we went through, like I was telling them about one. When I come out of 88, 5 years in Supermax, where they got us in a soundproof room for 5 years. I come out after 5 years, they send me to the USB, I get to the USB, and I'm with a good brother that, wanted to move to the cell with me at 4 o'clock every day we go to sleep. Every day, 4 o'clock, we go to sleep, right? So we go to sleep every day when we go to sleep every day at 4 o'clock. Because they count. So now, I come in the USB and it's 4 o'clock. So I'm laying down. I'm laying down to sleep. So while I'm laying down to sleep, I'm hearing something sounding like fingernails on the chalkboard. You know what I mean? So I jump up. I said, come on, what's the for? You know what I mean? He's like, I ain't doing nothing. And I'm like, laid back, I said, God, did I hear it again? So I'm like, huh? But it was driving me nuts. I kept like, So I go see the song. Then I tell him, I said to him, what are you doing, man? And he said, man, I ain't doing nothing. And he went to reach for the black and mild. He went to reach for the black and mild. And when he turned the chair to go like this, to reach for the black and mild. I said, yo, what are you doing? He said, man, you see, I ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? But it sounded like nails on a chalkboard. You know what it was? The hairs on his leg, rubbing on the inside of his pants.
You must have had some hairy ass.
Nah, my hearing was that sensitive after 5 years. Because I went to the site the next day and took it with me. You know what I mean? To make sure I wasn't crazy. So when I went there, they broke it down to me that for 5 years, being in there where everything I'm going to go get if I went to reach for this book. By the way, I'm going home down. Right? So now if I go reach for that book, I know my hand is going to touch it. And I know it's going to make a little noise. My mind can see that in the process that I'm getting ready to get the keys to get ready to get. You know what I mean? I'm getting ready to go get the black and mouse and the papers. You understand? You didn't even hear the people. You understand what I'm saying? You ain't pay attention to it. But when you in know and move, that your mind is not seeing what is moving. Yeah, your senses is on high. So my hearing got so super impaired that I was able to hear a man's hands rubbing on the inside of his pants leg. I thought I was going crazy. I don't care who believes it. I'm just telling you my experience. This ain't nothing convinced, but whether you believe it or not, I'm not getting nothing from it. I'm just telling you what I experienced. No, but this is what the psych tried to explain to me. That was normal. And just like you said, I you understand what I'm saying? So then, while he was over there, the other side, did something, and I turned around real quick, and the dude that went when he's still sitting there looking straight, I jumped around, and he said, see what I'm saying? I said, what are you saying? He said, no, he went to get that piece of paper just to prove his point. Since his earlier in his hearing. So we all here talking, and I bring with me that was my son. And the CEO went to go, you know. And I jump and turn and do it. So the psych asked my man, did you hear that? He said, hear what? But it sounded so loud that they said it's subconscious. Because he don't care. Like you said, not paying attention. But I come from environment where nothing for 5 years. Anything I go reach for, I know it's moving. It's equivalent to like you in a room and a book fall off the shelf behind you, you jump. Or you in your house and you hear a mouse. You understand what I'm saying? In between the bags. Somebody that live in the house with those mice, they know that the mice is running in between the bags all night. So they'll go to the kitchen to get something to eat. And not even pay attention to it. You go in the kitchen and get up, you jump, and they're like, what's wrong? They're like, they like sitting over there. They say, oh, that's just mine. But they know what it is. But you don't know what it is. So I just want you all to understand, because they touched on the key word, trauma. These are traumas that, we know, and, you was wild. So everybody said, oh, that's Shawn boy. You know what I mean? You did something wow. You know what I mean? You stole his bike, you beat up, broke his jaw. Oh, that's Shawn. You know what I mean? You got mad, somebody in the mind. Oh, that's Shawn. He just, that's Shawn. Those are traumas. You understand what I'm saying? But the crazy part is they didn't pay no attention to it in our neighborhoods. You know what I mean? But in the suburban, middle class neighborhood, they sent them to go see, shrinks and what you call it? Therapist. Yeah. You know what I mean? They say they go see therapists and they get a medication, they balance down on his initials, they got the keys down. When all these issues back, they just handed up to our neighborhood. Nigga wild. Yeah. It's out there, fight. But you gonna fight. But like you said, you see it on YouTube. They say, oh, they got the anti-porn, teach the child to be a man. You know what I mean? Teach the young lady to stand up for herself. If the female is speaking on her, not tell her what to do, just my opinion. That's all it is. My opinion. If somebody is giving my daughter a hard time, I'm telling my granddaughter a hard time. My kids are grown now. Tell my granddaughter, won't you try to see whatever she come and say, I tried to my granddad, and she just say, listen, I put her hands on it, your mom gonna tell you something different. Your grandma gonna tell you something different. But I'm gonna let you know that hands on, stand up for yourself, but don't go out there standing up with that young lady trying to defuse the situation. But sometimes we have to have man take our respect as a male, man as a female. But we have to first some respect. But sometimes all they understand is that now a lot of people we look at that different. Right or wrong. You understand what I'm saying? But we know. And now those children that they shelter, no, you talking crazy. You should not just stand up for yourself, to fight all right, all over the soul, this and that. They be the ones to go get the long trench jacket and the big M16 machine, and go shoot the ball, because they've been holding all this in so long. So if you don't want to be a kid like me, my granddaughter 11, age trip. I'm getting ready to send it to self-defense school. You know, me and my father, big shots beneath, so she can learn to fight and get aggression out on the back. So when she get mad, she take it out on the other girls in school. Because, she was treated with so much love. To me, no disrespect, be responsible, she too damn soft. You know what I mean? Because she's such a polite kid. Because that's the way my raised. But I feel she need to be prepared to go out in the world when she meets aggressive assholes like me. Because we out there. Even though now, before, like you got the young boys always out there that's not as respectful.
Right now, that's not the front.
We ride.
Just how they young, I think it was today, and these 20-something guys, this music body, cut on the paper, and I think about the money, you had the young sisters down on the 35th, somewhere around there, and I seen that brother choke, stab up, so it's like, music coming up. I mean, you had ice incidents, but it wasn't totally uncool, beat up, like you wasn't not by your head,
Everyone already said, put your hands on the girl.
And you had some girls that would hit you first, and even then, in some cases, like, they'll get their sisters, exactly, but now, those things is cool, and it's acceptable, with a lot of younger, people like that, beat up girls, they're most accepting, I think, very important guys, that really that shit out there, and even the neighborhood, like, gotta start speaking up, because we can't expect police come and teach. And on there, that's not right to stab that girl. I got, my brother, Josh. Yeah. Oh, man. His daughter is my God, but it had a time to meet present. But somebody shot him, killed him, and good girl going to school, college, she out there, really was having time, then deserves that, whatever the situation, but, and this was like, that's something definitely take notice of, so whether start teach young, that's right, or sometime it may come a little bit more. We definitely got to take initiative instead of just isolated, talk about it, like, in forms like this, that shit really happens, that could be I ain't got with my daughter's tough, that shit, my granddaughter's tough, but the thing got a lot of young fathers, they looking for that love, that's from that father, and they looking to these young, getting money, maybe do the burn my clothes, that's the one they really got, and they taking advantage of them. Yeah. I just wanted to speak. They just if you get a chance to they just found the girl out of you cut her up, cut the body up pieces, man. They early 20s, 22 years old.
But see, that talking about, man, it's like, we have to teach the youth, and we have to lead by example, because they do a lot of paying attention. So we can say, don't do this and do that with that. What time we selling drugs, we breaking whatever we tell them, that don't add up. You know what I mean? They're not trying to hear nobody trying to hear that. And that's the way that works, man. But it's a sad time, and we just trying to give the best we can, because we wasn't the best. That's something you said, I'm trying to think as I'm talking about the females. When you talking about the female, and
And I
spoke to a couple of dudes that's in gangs. Right, you know, I was working around when I was talking to a lot of yeah, and just giving them a little talk, I could get together, and I was trying to find out some differences. We was coming up. I mean, you had the girl, X and stuff like that. But that was girl shit. Now, gangs, you got women that got status, men. So they come up with women that they doing shootings, getting hit, calling shots. They just like so these dudes well, not necessarily seeing them as girl. They seem male gang. Man, that's me the way one, even though they girl gang, they just seem especially Philly. So that's a different fact from when we was when I you know I'm just when I was staying out there in this incident there. I went straight to a Philly, and that's what I want to know. I didn't come home yo, I 30 years, and I'm this, now I was like, yo, teach me something, let make me understand where you're coming. I was one of these, a lot of the younger brothers saying that a lot of us, we don't know what they gotta say. We just tell them who we were or how it should be. And I found out that's one of those things you do is not allow me to speak or allow her. So even if I disagree with him or I get still speak, especially with other gangs, the younger generations. I want to hear what they gotta say because I want to know what they thinking. I want to know how they don't get down like I used to get. They don't come from. So I got I got to listen to. See what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. But so how did you want to get out of jail? You said when you went something.
No. Well, I but you know, my trial, my tribulations wasn't easy. You know, took a couple of calls off. I was like, I got the marks and things like going through my shit, you know. But after I got out, really once I got married too. You know, that helped me slow down. You know, New York, you got visit. Took me 10 years to get first. I stayed in a lot of shit. Once I got the opportunity, man, to like, after all them years, to really lay down with a woman and to be, I was like, yo, man, I'm trying to chase this reputation, this bullshit, man. Let me start, like how you said, you was telling me earlier, getting into the program and start doing more positive things, start making some changes in my life. Man, I was fortunate to get, you know, some good lawyers, good support system, you know, and I give a lot of credit to my lovely wife for that.
Shout them out. Who was the support system? Let them know.
My lovely wife that's sitting here, you know, she's definitely one that really kind of spearheaded a lot. I had a cousin, you know, his son had made it to the NFL, and he told me if his son make it, he was going to help me get some lawyers. So he got some lawyers to come pro bono, and then, you know, I got to definitely give, you know, all praise due to the man above. He made it. He the one that gave me the perseverance and put me in a good position. So once I start making some changes in my thought process, you know, and getting involved more in positive things, because I sold drugs like for, that was the only thing I knew. Same thing in the street. So I sold drugs for like my first, say, 17 years in prison. Mostly all my problems came from that.
Exactly.
You know, whether it was dudes not paying or now I can't let that go because that could open up problems. But, you know, just realizing everything, that was the seed of all my problems.
And then your homies feel like you owe them something because you getting something, and whatever you give them is never enough, no matter what you're giving them when they started with nothing. So if y'all trying to go to prison, deal with this crap, the door's wide open, but we telling you don't go down there.
So, you know, I went to my first board in 25 years.
I expected to get hit then, to get, in New, I don't know how it is in the feds, but the max hit you could get in New York is 2 years.
In the feds, my brother, we got no parole.
Okay.
It's die in prison or whatever sentence they give you. That's what you're serving.
So I went to my first board. I looked forward. I knew just because of my prison disciplinary that I was going to get hit. And I still was maintaining my innocence. I maintained my innocence throughout this whole ordeal. So I got hit with 2 years. And, I kind of had some hope when that second time came. I went back in 27 years. And they hit me again. All right. They used, the fact that I still maintain my innocence, which I explained that I would never admit to something that I didn't do.
As you shouldn't.
So I went back again, and they hit me again with 18 months. And it was just a coincidence during that time, the officer that I was wrongfully convicted of, his son, who had now become a cop, had got shot like a month before I went to my board. So like every time I would go to the board, the papers would come, and talk about the case and put me in the case. So now when the son got shot and the circumstances were similar to how his father got shot, that blew up in the papers again right before I went to the board. Like father, like son, 20-some years later, before his father got shot like this.
And they comparing it and bringing your case back to life.
Yeah, so I got hit again. And that one kind of really crushed me because I was like, damn, one of the things that I realized that you have to have the perseverance. You got to have hope. A person that don't have hope, you capable of doing anything. You capable of doing shit you won't even think you can do if you don't have hope. And throughout that time, it was times where like I was kind of slowly losing hope. And then it's like faith. It'd be low, then it get high, it'd be low, it get high. But that was a time where I was like, yo, man, what the fuck, man? Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. If y'all not gonna let me out because I'm still maintaining my innocence, then tell me that.
Yeah.
At least I know that's what it is, because that's not gonna change. And then now I'm prepared to accept that, and I could explain to my wife, my moms, my loved ones, like, yo, this is what it is. They not letting me out because they want me to say that I did something that I didn't do, and I'm never gonna do that. I'm willing to die in prison on that principle. But they never said that. And I went again to that next board, man, and they let me go.
Let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this. I'm glad you said that. He said key words here, and being that I've been in prison, I know, where my mind would have been at, because I was in these situations other than I ain't had no parole. But when you said that they gave you 2 years at first, right?
A 2-year hit.
And then you came back, you got 18 months.
No, they gave me another 2 years.
Oh, yeah, another 2 years.
Time, then the third time they gave me 18 months.
Okay, pause. That's where I'm at. So now you done got a 2-year hit, and you got 18 months. What went through your mind? I'm going to get the next one. It's getting lower. They done took 6 months off. Tell me, I know where you're hoping.
I was told from a lot of the old timers, they said once they go low, they get ready. The lowest, they was like, you got a good shot. The only time they go back up is if you get in trouble. They was like, yo, the most they gonna do, they gonna either hit you with a year the next time or they gonna let you go. Because they went.
But that's what I'm saying. So you saw hope when you got that 18 months is the moral of the story. Because I saw hope for you when you just said that you had 2 years. I ain't hear you say a second 2 years, but then you got 18 months. Yeah. Man, they done took 6 months off, man. Maybe next time they give it to me.
I knew I had
and that's where our hope is at.
Yeah, it was just a situation like you learn the coping mechanisms, right? So you don't, I didn't want to get too high and then it don't happen, right? And I didn't want my people, my children, since they was so little. When I left, they was 3 and 2. They in their 30s now, and they've been hearing for years. People, he coming home soon. He coming. So I learned not to tell people that. So we always had hope. We always thought positive, but always in the back of the mind, you want to be able to cope. It was like, you know, the first time somebody died that I really loved, right? And because I was from Jersey, I couldn't go to no funeral. Unless it was somebody.
Because it crossed the state line.
Yeah, unless it was somebody. So
in New York.
the first, even though I was told that the first time that shit happened, if I didn't have the right support system around me, I would have probably been in prison still.
Yeah,
I
but
was
it's
ready.
not.
I was
But
ready
it's
to,
not.
yeah, because I was just at a point like, man, y'all just, you know, I'm in here for something that I didn't do. Now I'm gonna do something for real, you know. But I learned that I had to cope with that. You know what I'm saying? So by the time someone else died, I handled it. It wasn't maybe the best way, because she used to even tell me, she like, yo, you don't show feelings when shit happens. You don't be. But that was because I had to re-cleanse myself to be able to learn to show feelings, because that was a coping mechanism for me. Like, okay, this is what it is. I gotta keep moving forward.
Yeah. In other words, what they say, you know, if you gonna cry, what the baby gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, man,
Cry too.
how you doing, man? I'm all right. Doesn't matter. Nobody care. You know what I mean? These are the mentalities that we have. But, you know, what are some of the accomplishments that you accomplished while you were in prison that allowed you to get the parole, that prepared you for going back into society, and that you're using today to have a smooth ride?
Well, I had started going in college. Like after I got like that second hit, I went to college, started getting in the social service field. But the main thing that I was doing was I was always giving groups. I had started facilitating like maybe when I got about maybe 14, 15 years in. And one thing, like, especially when you're talking to the young, it's not always good, but they don't want someone coming to them that they don't know nothing about. Like talking about how they should move a prison. So since I had, by that time, had a reputation, they knew that, okay, they can ask their big homie, somebody, yo, nah, that's the big, nah, he so-and-so, so-and-so. So at least I had their attention. But I was able to convey some real shit to them. The only problem in the beginning was that I was still straddling the fence. I was talking about all the right shit, but I was still moving product in the prison. You know, I'm Muslim. I got product. I'm doing different things that wasn't correct. So once I got to a point that I left all that alone.
Yeah, that's where the beauty of the bid came in at.
Yeah, so and I'm now, not only am I speaking the right shit, but I don't got nothing I gotta hide or keep in the door. I'm doing the right thing. So it was all the better. And that with the college things, you know, I went and learned about some of the things you're talking about, floor, you know, the tile, the carpet, things like that. Learned some of the basic electrician skills and things like that. That wasn't really mine. I never really been, you know, big into working with my hands. But when I took college,
Unless you was knocking somebody out.
when I took college, one of the professors, I took public speaking, and she said, yo, you know, I was always getting top grades in the class, and she said, yo, you don't use big words. She said, but the sincerity, you'll be good at that. So I start focusing more on that, you know. Like I said, just, you know, I loved history, things like that, my writing skills. But more in the social service field, I felt good about just working with brothers that come up and sisters that come from where I come from, that come up through the things that we all been through. I felt who could be the best teacher, but the person that took that walk that they walked.
Yeah. All right, so that's where we at. So what are you doing now to get your innocence now that you're home?
Well, we're still working on my case. You know, I have, like I said, a great support team. We're still working on my case. I'm hopeful. I was working on Rikers Island recently, going in there talking to a lot of the youth.
Yeah, last time we saw each other, you was there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that contract is no more there. So right now, I'm working out there. I'm out in Jersey and Patterson at an organization called Jumpstart.
I heard of that.
Yeah, they're big in Patterson, and I've been working with the youth out there,
a big sister of mine named Jamie Bland. You know, she come from where we come from. She was out in the street at one time
I
doing
think I
her
know
thing.
Jamie. I think I did a speech for her with the PAL.
Well, now she's with the National Action Network. She's in charge of that as well.
Yeah,
So
I
you
met her
probably
through
came
Leland.
across-
Yeah, that's how I met her
Yeah.
through Leland because I spoke for the what they call the State Troopers Association up in Newark, up in New Brunswick with Fresher. Big shout out to Fresher. Fresher spoke that day too, and a couple of other brothers, Jamal.
So you probably came across it, and you definitely welcome to come there and talk to the youth over there. We're doing some things. I'm no longer working with Exodus Transitional Service in East Harlem at this time, but that's like my family. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's the work that I'm doing once I got home. and
That's what
learning how-
prepared you.
I give, you know, Julio Medina, that whole organization. You know, I know in the papers they caught a few hits lately, but you know how that go with the politics. A few bad apples don't really take away all the good that they've done. You know, and not just me, man. They helped train a lot of us that's working in other organizations now. We learn through them, so big shout out to them. But I also have my own thing that I'm doing, you know, that I'm spearheading. Of course, I got the Iron Black Innocent, that me, you know, the brother Shay that you know, my brother Shahid helped kind of form along with assistance from my wife. I got another organization called GIFT, which stands for Good Initiatives for Troubled Teens. That I kind of keep that more with the youth, whereas the Iron Black Innocent is more for the wrongful conviction in the criminal justice system, you know, things like that. And I'm just out there, man. I work with the churches, I work with other organizations. Anybody that, you know, welcome me, that need or anything that I could do, I'm there, you know, to try to just put my input. But like I said, I also try to definitely focus more now on my organization. Yeah.
Well, I like that. So what would you like to say to them in Cloak? I'm definitely going to bring him back. This is the first time he got his lady with him. I just want you to introduce my brother to you because I'm giving him the game on the, the podcast and YouTube. And so if he want to do it, let him know the lane is open and whatever I could do for him to help because we here to help each other. Like he just invited me to come speak at the place he's teaching at in Patterson. That's how old timers do. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna say, well, I got the job, so I don't want to bring nobody else in because it might be a problem. Or I got a YouTube channel, so I got X amount of people, so I don't want him to take my people. No, I want my brother to have what I have. Because if he got it, then I know I could go to him to get. And if I got it, he know he come to me to get. So that's what you youngins have to understand. You understand what I'm saying? We have to work together. That's why they have even like political parties. Right now, Washington is not working together. Each party's working separate. And then in the parties, they're fighting amongst each other. So they're never going to get anything accomplished that's going to help the people that need to get help. But we're going to help each other get where we got to go because you did how much time?
I did 30.
And I did 26 and a half.
30 for something I did not do.
You know?
You know?
And he still proclaims his innocence. I've known this man all his life and you know what I mean? I'm just glad that he's home and he got himself together and anything I could do to help, I'm here. Just like I know if I need anything, I could call him. You know what I mean?
This is the week of Kwanzaa. You know, not everyone believe in Kwanzaa, but one of the first principles that they talk about, unity, man. We really need to look at that, especially, you know, African-American black people. Not saying that we shouldn't unify with other people, not because brown, you know, everybody, Native Americans and even whites. But right now, there is a reason why so many people can come into our country from other countries and surpass us. Because the African American, we really haven't figured out the importance of unity. We're so busy trying to chop each other down, hate on each other and we can't keep blaming it on slavery, man. We have the education, we got the knowledge now.
Yeah.
We just gotta stop.
We got
being so
opportunity
selfish.
now.
Yeah, we gotta stop being so selfish, man.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure.
My
We
God,
definitely
man.
gonna do this again.
appreciate it.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
put
yeah.
this up tomorrow.
Sure.
Before the new year is out, so I'm gonna let this ride for the weekend so they can take their time, digest it, follow the comments. My people give great comments. That way you can see the impact that you're making. Because they know when they come to Unique Mecca Audio, we ain't glorifying nothing. So, you know, like I said, the brother, like he said, he was accused of shooting an NYPD officer. We ain't stick on that. We ain't glorify that because that's irrelevant. I just wanted to get what he been through and to get to him to where he's at now, the man that he is, that's giving back, like he said, working on Rikers Island, starting his own foundation. And that's why I told him I'm proud of him, man. Instead of sitting here trying to eat his back out because he's thinking about doing YouTube. You know what I mean?
Check me out, on IG at The Real Shawn Boyd. Facebook, Shawn Boyd. Look me up at my own website. I am Black Innocent. Hashtag I am Black Innocent. If you don't see it with that, just put hashtag Black Innocent. We trying to do things. Reach out to me if you need me to come speak to some of the youth. Whether it's in the schools, the churches, whatever. Y'all need a helping hand, we there.
Yeah,
and I'm in Jersey and in New York.
Yeah, that's how we do it here. Make sure we got this thing right, lined up, So everything is good, man. So me and Shawn been up here long enough. So I'm about to tap out, just trying to find this good old outro. Let y'all go out proper. So you heard his where to find my brother at. We're gonna do this again. This was, the New Year's coming in, and we spoke about doing this for quite a few months. But he was busy doing his thing. I was busy doing my thing. We didn't get a chance to meet up, so he called yesterday. And my frame of mind, which he don't know, was that the new year here, I'm not going to let the year go by where on January 1st or 2nd, he can say, we talked about this last year. You know what I mean? So we knocked out last year, and we're going to get this early next year. So if y'all want my brother to come back, to tell you some more details about his story or what he's doing to help or where he's at, put it in the comments, and I'm going to definitely bring him back. Like I said, I've known this man since I was a kid. You know what I mean? We was both going across the water to New York from back when we was 10, 11 years old. Bergen County Jail, Annandale, the whole nine. We've been through it. Big shout out to my man Ghost, Malik. You understand what I'm saying? We got to get a good brothers out there, thing. And free Malik. We got the brother Dow Bozeman that's locked up. That's my brother. Next time he called, I'm going to get a recording with him. He should be getting ready to come home too. You know what I mean? But these are the brothers that I'm rooting for because all the good men, stand-up men.
All the good men out there everywhere.
Stand-up men.
Special shout out to my cousin Big O, my brother, Supreme Justice, Dude Oliver, all my comrades out there, colleagues, Self-Savior, Tariq, Clyde, the whole crew, right? Inglewood, Team
Free my man, Jimmy Fingers.
Newark, all over, man.
Not, you know what I mean? So we got Jimmy Finger, Michael Palmer, we got Jimmy Fingers, we got Gene Oscar, we got Amir Betha, we got Supreme, you understand? We got Prince, we got my man Mujahid that I did, No, these are just dudes that was in the feds with me. It ain't where they from, they was in the feds, you know what I mean?
I'm saying my people, like, I'm talking about like Shay, my brother Shay, young brother Shay up there, Harlem. All my people, man. It's too many
Shay
names,
family,
so I don't want to forget nobody. So that's why
it ain't forget. We'll get them on the next one.
Yeah, the brothers out there that's been supporting me since I've been home, that's out there, and that's the key word, wanting to see me win. The brothers that I see that, I don't forget you brothers, and I appreciate the support. Not just brothers, and it's women too. That's really
like your lovely wife that came to hold you down.
Always. Yeah, you don't get too many of them. She did 20 out of that 30, man.
And that's a blessing.
Too many of them.
Thank you, sister, for holding my brother down. But I'm gonna tap out. We got the and then put in the comments you want my brother to come back, man. And he told you where to follow him. Tell him one more time. Instagram.
At The Real Shawn Boyd on Instagram.
All right. Let's get it going.
Hi guys, welcome to Platinum Cuisines. We're located in Freeport on the Nautical Mile. Just wanted to introduce my partner, Amy.
Hi guys, how are you? And this is my sister-in-law, Diana, another partner. I just ask that you come support our minority-owned business. We serve Asian fusion, Caribbean cuisine, and we have a beautiful restaurant located on the Nautical Mile in Freeport, New York. And we're asking that you come check us out and also make sure to tune in to Mecca Audio TV.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Let's go. 26. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be whoring uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, you got a lot to give. Now you trying to stop the kid.